Hello everyone, this is Vortex. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Final Fantasy I. In our last episode, we defeated the Dark Elf Astos and reclaimed Matoya's Crystal Eye. When we returned the Crystal Eye to the witch, she happily handed over the best potion in her collection, the Jolt Tonic. And we used the Jolt Tonic to awaken the Sleeping Prince of Elfheim. And once he was awake, he gratefully handed the Mystic Key over to us. We used that Mystic Key to open up a whole bunch of sealed doorways, which led to lots of new treasure. So lots of activity in our last episode. Now, since we last met, I made my way back to the village of Elfheim, and I used a whole lot of gil to purchase some new white and black magic for my mages. I think I had a little bit over 20,000 gil in my possession after all of that fighting and treasure looting since the Marsh Cave. Have just a little less than 8,000 gil left after purchasing all of this new magic, but it's going to be well worth it. Now, I believe I already had the Poisona spell for Lena before, but I also now purchased the Fear spell for Lena. That will drive all foes away in terror. And she now owns the Null Frost spell, which will reduce ice damage by half. Now, as far as Vivi is concerned, he now is the proud owner of the level 4 Blizzara spell. That's a very nice spell to have. It will deal ice damage to all foes. He also now owns the Haste spell. That's also a very useful spell to have. It will double one ally's number of attacks, and that also works very well when used in conjunction with Vivi's Temper spell, and that will work quite well against boss monsters, and I can't wait to demonstrate that for you a little bit later on, the Haste plus Temper trick. And finally, Vivi now owns the Confuse spell, and that will cause foes to turn on each other. That can be quite amusing to watch. So I think I spent 12,500 gil for all of those new magic spells. But I'm glad I have just a little less than 8,000 gil left in my possession, because it's not going to be too much longer until we'll need to purchase some new equipment and yet more new magic spells. So anyway, it is time for us to head on to the next area. And you might remember that we've talked to several people in and around the region, and we've heard some whisperings of the earth rotting off to the west of Elfheim. And we've also heard tales of some dwarves who live not too far off to the west as well. So what I'm going to do here is press B select on my Nintendo DS and pull up my map and show you that from the Elfheim area, what we're going to do is we're going to board our ship again and hit the high seas again and sail northwest across the Aldean Sea, and we will find a port located right about here, not too far to the northwest of Cornelia Castle. We will disembark our ship and head down to the south from there, and then a little ways to the west, and we should find a cave located right about there. So let's head that way, folks. Let's just head up to the ship. And I'm kind of surprised I didn't run into a random encounter in the forest there. Alright, well, from here, let's head off to the northwest. Ah, there was my random encounter right there. That was two Sahagan Chiefs, two sharks, but nothing Vivi's Thundara spell couldn't handle. Let's see if we can find us a port up here. Ah, there it is, right there. So let's get off our ship right here and start heading off to the southwest. Alright, I spy a cave. I'm gonna have to fight my way to it though. Alright, well, let's go inside the cave, and this will take us into Mount Duergar, home of the Dwarves. Lots of dwarves wandering around here, so let's just talk to a few of them. And we've got a dwarf with two treasure chests in this little chamber. Now, I'm not even going to attempt to speak their dialect. I don't think my Texas twang accent is going to work very well with this particular dialect, but basically this dwarf says with a crystal eye, even the blind can see. and he hears that the Dark Elf Astos took the one belonging to Matoya. So if you were to make your way up here to Mount Duergar before defeating Astos, you would have figured out that Astos was the one that took Matoya's Crystal Eye. And we've got a couple of treasure chests we can pilfer here, speaking of pilfering. So let's pick up 575 gil out of this treasure chest, and 450 gil out of the second treasure chest. So not bad at all. Let's see what some of these other dwarves are talking about. This particular dwarf is looking for something called a Levistone. It's supposed to be an amazing material that actually floats in the air. Wow, that sounds like a magical item. We'll have to put that on our to-do list one of these days, I'm sure. Head off and find some Levistone. And this dwarf is asking if we've blethered with their Smith. In the smithy he is, okay. I guess blethered means talked with, chatted with, communicated with. And yeah, you hear that sound in the background? Well, apparently that's the dwarf Nerrick, and he's smushing some rocks in the back of the cave. We may have to pay him a visit here in a bit. And this dwarf says Lally-ho! And we'll find some other dwarves in later Final Fantasy games that say the exact same thing. And yep, this dwarf tells us the same thing as the other dwarf did earlier. We'll find that some of these dwarves will repeat themselves. Well, this dwarf says the earth has started to rot. It began in the west, and now the decay is spreading. Not good. I wonder what's causing the earth to decay off to the west. Something for the Light Warriors to investigate, I'm sure. And in here we have a special looking dwarf. He's got a red hat. All the other ones only have just a regular hat. So let's talk to this dwarf. This is the dwarf Smith that we've heard of. He says, if only I could have some of the legendary metal adamantite. You'd be able to make such a magical sword with that material. Adamantite. Well, if we ever run across any adamantite later on, we'll have to remember to bring it back to Smith. Alright, what else have we got down here? More dwarves, I'm sure. Well, that's a dead end down there. Well, let's go down towards the banging sound, towards Nerrick's rock smooshing activities down here. I guess we can use the B button dash for some extra speed. Now before we visit Nerrick, let's jog off to the west and then south here. I believe there's a chamber down here. Yep, there it is right there. And I think it was once locked by the Mystic Key. Not 100% sure about that, but it matters not because we now have the Mystic Key in our possession anyway, and we'll be able to loot all of these treasures inside. So let's take a look here and see what kind of treasures we'll be able to find. The first treasure chest contains a tent. Secondly, we will find a great helm, and that sounds like a new item for my warrior Cloud. So let's go ahead and replace his small helm with the great helm, and it covers the entire head. Takes his defense up a little bit, so we'll definitely take that. Yet more treasure to plunder here. Here's a new item called the Worm Killer, and that is a sword effective against dragons. That could be useful. Now that's going to be good for both either Cloud or Locke, it looks like. Now let's see, that would take Cloud's attack up 1 point, and it would do the same for Locke, so I guess we can go ahead and put that on Locke and give him a little boost to his attack power there. Next treasure chest contains an ether. Those are always good to have. Another potion in that chest. Inside here we will find a mithril mail. There's another chest with 575 gil. And lastly, we will find a cottage in this treasure chest. So there you have it, some brand new treasures available. Always good to get new treasure. Alright, let's go see if we can find us a dwarf. Here's one right here. And there he is. There is Nerrick. Now, if you have not found the nitro powder in Cornelia Castle after obtaining the Mystic Key, you'll want to go back and get it before visiting with Nerrick, because that seems like something he's looking for. He says nitro powder. The explosive force in this powder will have his canal open in no time flat. Apparently Nerrick is building a canal here, and he needs some explosive to help him build it. So I believe he will ask for the nitro powder if you come here before obtaining the Mystic Key. And off he goes down to use the nitro powder. He looks around, and I guess he's going to set it right there. Beware, everyone, it's about to blow. Once it does, it's going to blow all the rocks to smithereens. So we better take cover, right? Yeah, Nerrick says, what are y'all standing around for? That powder's set to blow. Unless you plan on going with it. You better get out while you can, so let's run away. Run, 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 or you'll be well done. And it's starting to explode. And let's see what kind of damage the nitro powder does. Ah, that little strip of land is going to start breaking apart. And there's a nice little cutscene for you showing the land sinking into the Aldean Sea there. And now it looks like there's a little passageway open through that canal. Perhaps we can take our ship west through there. All right. Nerrick says he can't wait to see what lies out there. A yunt? I guess that means beyond that canal. Well, neither can we, Nerrick. And thank you very much for opening the canal for us. Now we can take our ship and head off to the west towards the rotting land. So it is time for us to head that way. So let's just exit the cave here. We'll just use our B button dash for some extra speed here. Wish I could run that fast in real life. I'm definitely no marathon runner. Alright, let's make our way back to the ship. And the ship is parked off to the east here. Alright, well let's board our ship and head off to the new canal that Nerrick blew open for us. Well, all four of my characters leveled up to level 18 after that battle with 4 Sahagins and 2 Big Eyes, so making more progress up the level ladder. Alright, well let's turn to the west here, and there's Nerrick's Canal, and we can now cross through the canal with our ship. And we have new lands and new places available to explore beyond the Aldean Sea. And you'll notice right off that there is a whirlpool located just to the northwest of Nerrick's Canal. Uh-oh, that's not Leviathan, is it? Well, let's investigate. No, fortunately it's not Leviathan, but it's a brand new dungeon called the Lifespring Grotto, available to explore in the Dawn of Souls version of Final Fantasy I. Looks like we have a mermaid near the entrance, so let's just talk to her, shall we? The mermaid says, "Yipes, peoples! You aren't going to hurt me? Then maybe I can tell you a little about this place." "Yes, please do." The mermaid says, "This cavern is known as the Lifespring Grotto. Long ago, men and mermaids who fell in love could live here together in peace." Well, that's nice, but unfortunately we can't check out the Lifespring Grotto yet because the entrance is blocked off by yet another hideous statue. Yep, fetid water seeps from the statue, so certain requirements have to be met before that statue will disappear. But keep in mind where the entrance to the Lifespring Grotto is, friends, because we will definitely be coming back here to check it out once it becomes available later in the game. But for now, let's continue sailing to the west. And we don't have to sail too far before we see a brand new town. And it comes complete with a port right next to it. So we can just dock our ship right there and enter the town immediately. And this is the town of Melmond. You might remember the old man back in the village of Provoca who mentioned Melmond. He said that this town was in trouble, and definitely looks like the town is in dire straits. The town is littered with tons of gravestones, and looks like the earth is rotting here. Not good. Well, let's just talk to some of the townspeople, see what they have to say. And this man, just like many others, asks the Light Warriors to restore the crystals to grace. This town is filled with blue-haired people, it looks like. And this man says, "The vampire attacked, destroying our church and leaving our city in shambles. Is there nothing we can do to stop the ruination of the earth?" Well, it sounds like an evil vampire is responsible for ransacking this town. Another ne'er-do-well that the Light Warriors will have to contend with in the not-too-distant future, I'm sure. This man says if the earth crystal regains its glow, life will return to the earth. The hills and valleys will again be green. So yep, looks like that's going to be the Light Warriors' next task. Seek out a vampire and try to restore the darkened earth crystal. Try to relight it. And perhaps if they're successful in doing so, the earth will cease to rot, and perhaps the earth will be restored and start turning green again. There's another person asking the Light Warriors to restore the crystals to grace. And this young lady says, "Stop by my father's shop, okay?" Well, which one is it? We've got tons of shops in this town. In fact, we've got 2 magic shops located right here. So why don't we take a side trip into the magic shops and check them out and see what new magics will soon be available for purchase for our mages. And we'll stop off into the white magic shop first and see that level 5 white magic is for sale here. And the magic keeps on getting more expensive. Level 5 magic costs 4,000 gil apiece. Now I don't think Lena or Vivi can use level 5 magic yet at level 18. They're going to have to level up a bit more before it becomes available, but by the time they get higher in level, I think I will have the funds to purchase some of this new magic. But let's just go ahead and take a look through the list here and see what each of these spells does. You can see the Curaga spell is available for purchase here. That will restore a lot of HP to one ally, even more than the Cura spell. The Life spell will work just like the Phoenix Downs. Will revive one knocked out ally. That will be a useful spell to get. Diaga will deal damage to all undead foes. It will do more damage than the Dia and the Diara spells. And then you've got the Healara spell, which will restore more HP to the entire party than the Heal spell. So lots of good choices there. Alright, well let's go on down to the Black Magic shop. And we've got some pretty nice spells available for purchase here. There's the Faragas spell. Will deal even more fire damage to all foes than the Fira spell. Scourge will instantly kill all foes, if it works, that is. The Teleport spell will transport the party to a previous floor. And the Slowra spell will reduce one foe's number of attacks. And I think Astos tried to use that when we fought him earlier on. Alright, let's talk to this old man. He says, in the cave on the southern tip of this continent lives a man named Sada. He is a wise man who knows much. So we'll have to head on down to the southern tip of the continent, find a cave there to speak with Sada a little bit later on. And it looks like we've got a dwarf also wandering around Melmond here. His name is Watts. He says he's gone all the way here from Duergar to find out the cause of the Earth's decay. So I guess he's investigating here. Yeah, this town is pretty dilapidated. There's an old worn out building there. A couple more people up here. And this man says, I've heard that the ancients possess something with the power to make a ship float in the sky. Didn't we hear about an item like that back in Mount Duergar. Isn't it called the Levistone? Apparently that item can make a ship float in the sky. Interesting. And this man says, long ago a prosperous civilization thrived in the Northlands. Now it's fallen into ruin. Lots of towns falling into ruin here in Final Fantasy I. Melmond's nearly there. Well, we've got a weapon shop here in Melmond, but unfortunately the weapon shop doesn't sell very good weapons. You can buy a crozier bar, a saber sword, longsword, and a falchion blade here, but none of those catch my interest, so we'll just continue onward here. And we will cross this bridge, speak with more people. And this man tells us about a giant that lives in a cave, and apparently that giant eats rocks. He'll eat just about any kind of rock, but I hear he especially likes gems. He can't get enough of them. That would be a pretty expensive lunch, wouldn't it? Can't imagine eating a gem. And here we have a scholarly looking gentleman, perhaps a professor. He says, there is nothing I, the great genius Dr. Un, do not know. Is it Dr. Un or Dr. Une? Or perhaps Dr. Un. He says, what? You've never heard of me? Inconceivable. Yeah, not only have I never heard of you, I can't even pronounce your name. Oh well, he sounds pretty important. I'm sure we'll be coming back to speak with him later on. And here in the northern part of town, we have the armor shop. And check out the armor available for sale here. Some pretty good stuff. The knight's armor costs 36,000 gil. Pretty expensive, but it seems like it would be a good buy for my warrior Cloud. That's armor crafted from steel plate. You can also purchase silver armlets here. I found one of those in the marsh cave for Lena. I'm going to go ahead and purchase 2 of those, one for Locke and one for Vivi. Found a great helm back in Mount Duergar. I've got that equipped on Cloud. The bronze gloves and the steel gloves are also available here, but I've already got the steel gloves for Cloud. But let's go ahead and equip the silver armlets on both Locke and Vivi. You can see the silver armlet will take Locke's defense up to 17 and his evasion up to 82. And we'll replace Vivi's old copper armlet with the silver armlet and take his defense up to 17. So some much better defense for Vivi, and I need to sell off all that old equipment off screen sometime between now and the next video. Another old man up here, and he says the Cavern of Earth is to the south of Melmond on a peninsula called the Devil's Tail. Sounds pretty sinister. It used to be the closer you got to that cave, the more fertile the soil. Now it's a barren waste. So the Cavern of Earth is not too terribly far south of here, it seems like. And this man says the earth is decaying, and it's all the doing of the vampire that lives in the Cavern of Earth. Our town is in such rotten shape because he's blocking the flow of the power of Earth. Will you stop him for us? Well, yep. A hero's job is never done. Sounds like we need to go after a vampire located in the Cavern of Earth to the south. Teach him it's not nice to ransack towns such as Melmond. And then later on, it's going to be up to the Light Warriors to restore the Earth Crystal back to its former glory. And that's all coming up in future episodes of Let's Play Final Fantasy I. Thank you for watching today's video, everyone. Hope you found it helpful and enjoyable. And this has been Vortex, your host. Hey, hope you have a great day. We'll see you again next time.